Hi, it's Mark Donegan with the Marketing Execution Podcast. Most teams spend hours planning, then wonder why nothing gets done. Einstein said he'd spend 55 minutes on the problem and only 5 on solutions. But most of us do the opposite. I've seen product teams at fast growth SaaS companies skip the hard questions and jump straight to roadmaps. That's why they ship fast, but move slow. Here's how Jason Cohen fixes that problem.
Tune in, listen up, it's marketing time. Bright ideas sparking, growing your mind. From strategies to big exec dreams, catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Welcome to the Marketing Execution Podcast. This is the show for tech founders and leaders building B2B products and technologies. We show you how to go further, faster to get the business results you need.
From strategies to big exec dreams, catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Mark, I've been thinking about something that plagues literally every startup founder I know, the quarterly planning process. And let's be honest, it's almost always the sterile, soul-crushing exercise. You end up with a spreadsheet or a deck full of buzzwords that no one looks at again after the first week.
I know. It's a total failure of leadership, but it's so common. It's because most plans are just a to-do list. They have no narrative, no soul. They don't tell a story.
A story? What do you mean?
I mean, they don't follow the oldest, most powerful communication structure known to man. I read this fantastic piece by Jason Cohen that just crystallized this for me. He frames the entire strategic planning process using the structure of a fairy tale.
A fairy tale. Okay, I'm intrigued. You mean like, once upon a time, our monthly recurring revenue was flat.
Exactly. It sounds silly for a second, but it's an absolute cheat code for getting your team aligned. Our brains are literally pre-wired for this stuff. Think about it. Number 1, once upon a time and every day. That's your situation, your objective. This is who we are and what we want. Simple.
Okay, that's the hero of the story. I get it.
Right. But then comes the most important part of the whole damn thing. But then, one day, a monster shows up. This is the obstacle section. And Tim, this is the part where 99% of founders completely drop the ball.
Because they want to jump straight to the solution, right? The action.
They're obsessed with the solution. They want to talk about the cool sword they're going to build, the adventure they're going to go on. But they haven't even taken the time to properly look at the dragon. Jason quotes Einstein in his article, something like, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem. And that's it. The obstacle section is the plan. It's where you face the brutal, difficult truths.
So what kind of obstacles are we talking about here? It's not just our competitor launched the new feature, is it?
Sometimes, but usually the real dragons are inside the castle. I mean, we talk about this all the time on the Marketing Execution Podcast. The real obstacle might be that your team is totally burned out, or you have a leaky bucket. Your customer retention is horrible, but you're still focused on top of funnel growth. Or maybe your tech debt is so bad that your dev team is just drowning in bugs and can't actually build anything strategic.
Yeah, the stuff no one wants to put on a slide for the board meeting.
The stuff you have to put on the slide. Because if you don't define the dragon accurately, you'll grab the wrong weapon every single time. You'll go off to fight with a marketing sword when you really needed a product shield. Getting this part right is everything. It's where you diagnose the real illness, not just the symptoms.
Okay, so you define the hero's quest, the objective. Then you spend a ton of time defining the dragon, the obstacle. What's next in the fairy tale?
Well, now you can finally talk about the adventure, the actions. How do we overcome these specific obstacles to achieve our objective? And because you were so crisp about the problem, the potential solutions often become way more obvious. But this leads to the other masterstroke of this framework, a part that feels uncomfortable but is so critical.
Let me guess. Saying no.
You got it. It's the not doing list. And this is not just your Jira backlog of stuff you'll get to later. This is a strategic communication document.
What do you mean by that?
Think about it. When you decide to focus on slaying the dragon, you are making a conscious choice not to deal with the goblin infestation in the forest or the troll under the bridge. If you don't say that out loud, everyone else just thinks you're an idiot who doesn't even see the goblins and the trolls.
Right, they think you're clueless.
Perception is reality. The not doing list tells your team, your investors, and even yourself, we see these other very important problems, we acknowledge them, but we have made the strategic decision that they can wait because slaying this one dragon changes the entire game. It shows you're a leader making hard choices, not just a manager who's overwhelmed and forgot about other fires. It's about building confidence in your focus.
Wow. Yeah, that completely reframes it. It's not a list of failures or delays. It's a list of strategic sacrifices.
100%. And then you have your measures, which is just, how do we know we won? If the dragon dead, is the princess saved? And what does the kingdom look like now? That's your happily ever after. By framing the whole quarterly plan this way, it stops being a spreadsheet and starts being a story, a quest. And people will run through walls to be part of a great quest.
It turns the plan from a boring document into a genuine act of leadership. Okay, so this is brilliant for creating the plan, but what about getting the team to actually use it? Let's talk about the internal comms for a plan like this.
That's the real magic of this whole thing, Tim. The internal comms aren't a separate step. They're not something you figure out after you've made the plan. The story, the framework itself, that is the communication.
Wait, hang on. So you're saying the plan itself is the memo. It's the all hands presentation.
It's all of it. Think about it. When you tell a story, you don't need a separate document explaining the story, right? The narrative does the work. But the reason this matters, the deep down core reason this isn't just a clever format, is what it does for the team's psychology. It's about their sanity.
The psychology. Okay, what do you mean by that?
Look, let's go back to that not doing list. From our perspective as leaders, it shows we're making hard choices. But now put yourself in the shoes of an engineer on that team. Her entire world is a fire hose of competing priorities, tech debt, new features, bugs, that weird request from sales. It's all P0. It's an impossible workload. It's the primary driver of burnout.
Yeah, and you constantly feel like you're letting someone down because you can't possibly get to it all.
Exactly. So when a leader stands up in front of everyone and says, here is the one dragon we are going to slay this quarter, and look, here's this list of 5 other very real, very scary monsters, and we are consciously choosing to ignore them for the next 90 days. Oh man, Tim, the collective exhale in that room it's a physical thing. You are giving your people the most profound gift a leader can give: permission to focus.
Permission to not worry. That's it. You're not just managing a project, you're managing their cognitive load. You're telling the team, I see the goblins in the code. I see the troll under the bridge that is our customer churn. But your only job is to help us slay this dragon. Wow, that is leadership.
It's everything, because that clarity changes the very nature of the work. It stops being about closing tickets. It's no longer a feature factory. The goal isn't to ship the new dashboard. The goal is to weaken the dragon. And so every single daily stand-up, every design review, every conversation, it all gets filtered through one simple question: does this help us kill the dragon?
So it creates this incredible link between the daily grind and the actual mission.
You nailed it. It gives the work genuine meaning. Nobody gets out of bed in the morning fired up to refactor the billing API, but they will run through a damn wall to forge the magic sword that saves the kingdom. And it might be the exact same coding task. The work doesn't change, but the framing, the story, that changes absolutely everything. It turns your employees from resources on a spreadsheet into protagonists, and they will fight for a story they believe in.
Okay, that's incredibly powerful, but let me play devil's advocate for a second. A really good story can also be used to hide a lack of progress, right? To hand wave away the details. How do you keep the fairy tale from becoming, well, just fluff? Where's the accountability?
That's where the end of the story comes in, remember? Until finally, victory. That is your measures section. This isn't just a fun story we're telling around the campfire. We have to define what victory looks like in the real world. Is the dragon's head on a pike? Okay, great. But what does that mean? Does it mean customer retention is up by 5 points? Does it mean the team burnout score went down by 50%? You have to define the win.
I see what you mean. So the measures are literally the climax of the story.
They have to be. A story without an ending is just a rambling mess, and a plan without success metrics is just a wish list. The measures are what make the story real. They prove the quest mattered. And then you get the final line. And forever after, the world is different. That's your outcome. We didn't just do some activities, we changed the state of the kingdom. That's the ultimate accountability. It's not bolted on at the end, it's baked right into the narrative arc.
Wow. Okay, so the framework is the communication plan. It creates psychological safety, it connects day-to-day work to a deeper meaning, and it builds accountability right into the story. I'm completely sold. But I can already hear founders listening to this thinking, this sounds great, but where do I literally start? Let's get into the nuts and bolts. How do you actually run the meeting to build this thing?
Tim, that's the whole game right there. Ideas are great, but execution is everything. Let's get into how people can actually use this stuff. No more theory.
Yes, I love it. So I'm a founder. I've got my leadership team. We're in a conference room with a whiteboard for a whole day. What is the very first thing we do?
Okay, first, you do not start by brainstorming what you're going to do. That's the biggest mistake. Everyone wants to jump to the actions part of the story, the adventure. It feels productive. It's a trap.
A trap? Why?
Because you'll just end up doing the same things you always do. A little faster, maybe a little better, but you won't change the game. The very first step is to spend at least an hour, maybe 2, only talking about obstacles. Nothing else.
So you start with the villains and monsters, not the hero's quest.
Exactly. You have to define the dragon before you can talk about slaying it. Let's make this real. Imagine you run a B2B SaaS company that makes a project management tool. Your objective is growth, obviously, but you've got a problem. Let's say customer retention is bad.
Okay, a leaky bucket. Super common problem.
Right. So the team gets in a room. Someone says, we need to build a new feature to stop churn. Someone else says, we need better marketing. They're all proposing solutions, but they haven't agreed on the real obstacle. Bad retention is a symptom. It's not the obstacle.
So what is?
That's the work. The real obstacle might be our onboarding is a 10-step nightmare and new users get lost and give up. Or maybe it's our core feature set is slower and buggier than our main competitors. See, those are 2 totally different dragons.
And they require totally different magic swords to kill them.
You got it. And you can't forge both swords at once. So you spend the first part of the meeting getting brutally honest about which dragon is actually burning down your village. You have to get everyone to agree this is the beast we face, not the 5 other ones, just this one.
Okay, so that's the first big step. Get alignment on the single biggest, ugliest obstacle. What's next? Once you've all agreed on the dragon, how do you figure out the plan of attack?
Well, this is where it gets fun. Once the problem is super clear, the actions, the adventure, often become obvious. If the dragon is, our onboarding is a nightmare, then the quest for the quarter isn't reduce churn by 5%, that's a metric. The quest is create a magical first experience that makes every new user feel like a superhero in 5 minutes.
I love that framing. It's so much more motivating.
It's everything, because now you can brainstorm. What does that look like? Maybe it's a guided product tour. Maybe it's ripping out half the features for a new user. Maybe it's a series of 2-minute videos. Now you're generating creative solutions to the right problem. Think about a company like Figma. Their obstacle was that design tools were siloed on the desktop.
Right, so only one person could work on a file at a time. It was awful.
Totally. So their adventure wasn't just build a design tool. It was make design a multiplayer game. That one idea born from a clear obstacle dictated everything they built. The actions flow from the obstacle, not the other way around. You have to pick the one or two big things, the big rocks, that will actually move the story forward.
And this is where the not doing list comes in handy, right? To protect the team from distraction.
It's critical. Once you've picked your adventure, make onboarding magical, you then have to list the other things you're not doing. We are not launching on a new platform this quarter. We are not redesigning the logo. We are not building that one feature the sales team is screaming for.
That sounds hard, but also like a huge relief.
It's the hardest part of leadership, but it gives your team permission to focus. It tells them what matters. It's like telling the fellowship, your only job is to get the ring to Mordor. Don't worry about the orcs and Rohan. Ignore them. That clarity is what lets a small team do something amazing.
This is so good. The whole process feels so much more human. It's not just a spreadsheet with targets. It's a story you're building together. Mark, this has been incredible. Could you summarize the whole Fairytale framework for us one more time from start to finish?
Absolutely. Look, our brains are hardwired for stories, not spreadsheets. So frame your strategy like a fairy tale. Start with your objective, your once upon a time. But then, and this is everything, spend most of your time defining the one single dragon you're going to fight. The real obstacle, not the symptoms. Once you know the monster, the plan of attack becomes clear. Use a not doing list to give your team the focus. It stops being about shipping features and starts being about slaying the dragon. It gives their work meaning, and people will run through walls for meaning.
That's perfect. So, after all this, if a founder walks away and only remembers one thing from our entire conversation, what should it be?
That your job isn't to manage a project plan. Your job is to be the storyteller in chief. Your plan is a quest, and if you tell a story that's clear, honest, and compelling, you won't have to push your team to the finish line. You'll have to hold them back. That's leadership. The Marketing Execution Podcast is produced by Growth Stage Marketing. We are on a mission to see your company reach wild success using marketing pods.
Too big, accept dreams. Catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Thank you for listening and being a part of the marketing execution movement and community. To learn how growth stage marketing clients reach more buyers and drive business impact, go to growthstage.marketing. That's growthstage.marketing.